What's going on, guys? Asian Guy here, bringing you a re-roll tier list. Now, this is a question I've been receiving a lot. Unfortunately, this is coming after Anniversary has ended, but we are going to be getting a 2.5 times Legend rate up sugo-fest on both global and also on Japan. So if you are looking out for any of these legends, this is a good time, especially if you're looking to re-roll and actually get into One Piece Treasure Cruise. A lot of people have played One Piece Treasure Cruise, didn't get the best starts, and they might want to consider re-rolling back if they're not that high level or end game already. So this video is more so catered to people who are looking to stick around for the long run, more so than playing with niche legends, or just to try out legends or re-roll an account to dedicate their account to playing with a certain legend. This is more so for people who are new to the game or just want a deeper understanding of which legends will cover all the bases for them for the longevity of One Piece Treasure Cruise, whether in your global, Korea, or even Japan server. But let's begin. We have, of course, got some Japanese legends only in here as well. I think we've only got one or two in here, but let's go over them. The very first units that we are going to have, the first row, are the units that you need to have at least one of them. You need to have at least one of them. This is going to be like your main captain, the most used unit, or the most used captain you'll have in your team. Now, the captain is basically the leader of your team, so you want to have a really strong one. And these units can use basically all units in the game, other than for the second one there, who is Douglas Bullet, for those of you who haven't watched One Piece Stampede. But we have got V2 Snake Man, who has just debuted on Japan. Incredibly powerful legend, if not the best legend in the game. Then we have Douglas Bullet, a lot of people's favorites, a fan favorite for OPTC players, because he has a color type advantage against everyone. He has something called Rainbow Damage, a very good captain, but he can only boost strength, quick, and int units, which are red, blue, and purple units. Next up, we got Shanks and his crew, a rainbow unit. They are both Psy and quick types, so the yellow and the blue types, but they can boost any color. They can boost any typing, any color. Very good legend. And next to them, we have Luffy and Law. I'm sure you guys all know who Luffy and Law are, and they're also a universal captain. Whenever I say universal captain, for those of you who are new to the terminology of One Piece Treasure Cruise, it means they boost everyone. So they have no restrictions, they boost absolutely everyone, which is why they're so good. So if you are re-rolling, you want to have at least one of these legends, even just one of them is good enough, as your captain. Now, this is where things might get a little bit more complicated, but the second row. Now, the second row, you ideally want to have at least 3 of these units in your account. If you have 3 of these units, you'll be able to cover a lot of content, but without 3 of these units, the longer you go on the game without these units, the more you are going to struggle, the more teams will be locked off from you, especially the last 3 units, who are all very good subs, but also the 2 there, Corazon and Rayleigh, the one in purple and the one in green. Very, not the dragon, by the way, when I say the one in green. Rayleigh and Corazon. I'm assuming some people aren't necessarily mega One Piece fans, or they aren't that deep into the story, because I know a lot of people come from other gacha games and also start loving One Piece through that means. So this is for them as well. So Rayleigh, the one with the beard, purple, he's a very good sub, and he's also a very good supporter. When I say a sub, it's a sailor ability. You have your 2 captains at the top, and then 4 units below that are going to be your sub units. Rayleigh can go in there, very good. And a support unit is something you can attach to certain units. In Rayleigh's case, he can be attached to any Luffy in the game, and he will reduce 3 very annoying debuffs that you find in the game by 2 turns, making him one of, if not the best support in the game, because he is designed for Luffy. Corazon does the exact same thing in terms of being a support, but he does it for Law, and Law has many good sub units in the game. So you also really want to be looking out for Corazon and Rayleigh, because the older these legends get, they actually become harder and harder to pull, because a lot of people, obviously the longer playing players, don't want to see all these old legends that they may have had for a long time, may have pulled many dupes of. But for some more unfortunate, it's actually kind of bizarre saying this, unfortunate players who started the game more recently, pulling Rayleigh is really difficult, because they started doing pulls where, when I say pulls, not pulls, pulls of legends where you can't actually obtain this Rayleigh anymore. So it kind of sucks, and we haven't been given our choose your own free legend for a long time. I don't think, it doesn't look like they'll be doing that anytime soon again. But the fact that Rayleigh is gone from there means you really want to get him early, ASAP. I've seen several comments in my comment section recently saying that they haven't had Rayleigh. Some people almost 1900 days in the game, no Rayleigh, and that hurts them so much, because there's so many teams that require Luffy to have this Rayleigh unit as a support. And therefore, if you don't have him, you really want to have him. So Rayleigh is a top tier candidate to have on your reroll account, as is Corazon as well. Although Corazon is a lot easier to pull, but at the same time, if you don't have him, it is going to hurt. Now, for the other units here, Sanji, aka Osobamas, the quick unit, the blue unit, he is a very good captain, but he does have a few different mechanics in the game that if you're not very deep into the game, you might not understand, and it might be a little bit confusing. But for the long run, as you learn and grow with the game, he becomes a very good legend. When you limit break him or you limit break plus him, which is more end game content, very top tier legend. Kaido, on the other hand, Kaido is basically, you know, all mobs, damage goes, you know, he basically destroys everything. That's easy content or mediocre content, and very tedious mob heavy content such as the Zero Stamina Law, which is currently live on Japan as of recording this on the 25th of May. So he is a fantastic legend, more so a quality of life legend. There's plenty of other teams you can use over Kaido, but they are just infinitely slower, and having Kaido will be a fascinating addition to your box. And then last but not least, you have the two girls at the very end, the green and the red, the dex and the strength units, which is Vivi and Rebecca. Now Vivi and Rebecca is more so if you are already a mid-game player to end-game player and you're just re-rolling, maybe you're moving from global to Japan, you really want to have these units. If you understand the game already, you probably understand how good these units are as a sub. They're pretty good as a captain as well for certain replacements when you're trying to leech off other content or other captains. But yes, Vivi and Rebecca will unlock so many different teams for you. But I would say the biggest priority out of this second row is the Rayleigh. Rayleigh, you really do want to have him as a support. You can farm support medals to max his support later on in the game, but just having him in your box, having that peace of mind that you have this very essential unit in the game, is something I would not trade off for any of these other legends. Although I would argue that the other legends are better than him, but his just utility, his usability is honestly unrivaled as a support. Even as a sub, he is fantastic. More recently, we're getting a lot of debuffs where he actually works really well as a sub. He's very good, for example, in the latest Colosseum, which is Colosseum Kizaru, which is a very difficult Colosseum, especially if your box is empty. The third row. Now, the third row, I will label all of these as quality of life legends. Now, this can completely be skipped over if you don't really care about your quality of life, but I think everyone deserves and should want to care about their quality of life. The very first character there, the rabbit, is Carrot. She is a unit that will bypass all barriers, and although she has a little bit of a tricky way to play because you have a time or a cooldown where she can bypass barriers, whenever she can use her team on any piece of content, she is unrivaled because she is by far the fastest. She reduces cooldowns at the start of your turn. Her special ability allows you to reduce cooldowns as well. She basically obliterates anything with barriers, or essentially everything with barriers, and basically is the counter to barriers and all sorts of defensive effects. She bypasses all of them. Now, while she can't output the highest amount of damage, a lot of content in the game, if it's under, for example, 12 million HP, which is like what 90% of the content in the game for raid bosses and colosseums and free-to-play farmable units, then Carrot is your go-to character, and she will make farming a lot easier, a lot faster, and a lot more efficient for your time. So that's just a quality of life legend there. Then we have Jack, Buggy, and Chopper in that order, the red, purple, and the yellow. Jack is a captain that will boost your EXP, so if you want to be a higher pirate level, the benefits of being a higher pirate level means you have more stamina every single day to play. And if you want to play a lot, then Jack is your go-to guy. Jack is really good for endgame players as well, especially when they're trying to manage their stamina and manipulate their stamina so that when they level up, it will benefit them in other ways, which is not something that I'm going to go into and explain right now, but as you grow with the game, you'll understand how important your pirate level is as well. Also, as pirate level increases, your cost will increase as well, meaning you can use more important units in the game or more legends on your team. Because at the beginning, until like pirate level maybe 250, maybe 300 even, that might be an overstatement. And actually, I think around pirate level 300 is when you can fully unlock teams, have full support teams as well, and the cost will not be too much of a problem. But until then, it might be a bit of a struggle. There are free-to-play alternatives, but they're nowhere near as good as Jack in terms of boosting EXP. Next up, we have got Buggy. Now, Buggy is a very good quality of life legend, especially when you're new, because you're going to have low amounts of turtles, which are EXP items, low amounts of socket tones, which are a mechanic in the game which allows you to basically negate a lot of tedious debuffs in the game. If you have certain sockets such as Bind, Despair, you have cooldown reducing sockets, you have damage reduction sockets, you have orb increase sockets, many different useful sockets that give you extra benefits to your team. And to get these, you need an item called Socket Tomes. Now, every single day on Japan, I think on Global as well, these have like free, beg your pardon, daily drops, and you want to run Buggy on these islands because Buggy will always guarantee a duplicated item. It is going to be random which items he duplicate, but he will always guarantee at least one duplicated item. So if you have 2 Buggy captains, your own captain and your friend captain, that's 2 duplications every single day, which is very, very, very nice. And you can run him on very easy content as well to speed up your farming, to speed up your duplications, and basically start building up your characters and increasing them in quality. Next up, we have got Chopper. Now, Chopper as a sub is really good because he is really good for utility. He covers almost every single debuff in the game, and he can reduce it by several turns, 3-5 turns, something like that. And he shouldn't be slept on as a sub. Very, very good for a beginner account. For an empty account, he will pretty much do all the debuffs early on to mid game. Having said that, he also has a very good captain ability for especially end game players. There is an item in the game called Cotton Candy, and Cotton Candy will simply just boost the base stats of your units up to a maximum of, for HP, 500 going into 1000 once you unlock that cap in PvP, but don't worry too much about that. So your HP at plus 100 HP candy will boost your base stat of HP by 500. For attack, it will be plus 200 from 100 candy, and then your recovery will be plus 100 recovery stat from 100 candy as well. Now, Chopper will guarantee duplicate every piece of cotton candy drop, unlike Buggy, who selects one random item from your entire drop list and dupes it. Every single cotton candy that is dropped during a run where Chopper is used as your captain, remember, as your captain, he will duplicate them by 1. So this will speed up your cotton candy farming by an insane amount. And not to mention, Chopper is a universal, aka rainbow captain, so he boosts every single unit in the game by 3.5 times attack. So even as a captain, he's not that bad at all. So from the first 3 rows, I would say you want to have at least like what, 6 or 7 legends from the first 3 rows for your reroll. If you're not re-rolling on a very good legend sugo-fest, or you don't have many gems to re-roll with, because depending on the time of the year when you re-roll, if you're re-rolling during anniversary, you can honestly do anywhere from like 3 to 5, maybe even 6 multi-pools, which is pretty absurd. You should be looking to get at least 10 legends if you are doing like 5 multis, 6 multis, or even 4 multis. But if you only have, for example, let's say 3 multi-pools or 2 multi-pools to re-roll, then definitely you want someone from the first row, and you want maybe like 3 units from the second row, and then you're pretty much set. Third row is quality of life. They're not essential, but they really will make your life a lot easier. Now, the 4th and 5th rows are just extra bonuses. If you can get anyone from the 4th row, it's a huge bonus. Now, this V1 Snake Man, most people will say to you now, there's really no need to use him as a captain. Now we have V2 Snake Man, but V1 Snake Man is still a rainbow, still a universal captain, and a very good captain, but also a very good sub. And of course, he's Luffy, so he has many good support units for him as well. So Luffy is always a good unit to have. Stampy Luffy may be a contestant for the 3rd row here as a quality of life legend, because he is the best legend basically all the time to go up against int content or purple content, because yellow has a type advantage against purple, but again, not essential. There are replacements that you can use, but he is a very nice legend, a bonus legend to have. Now, the final legends here are going to be Cracker, the blue one, the quick one. We have Shanks, the purple one, the int one, and then we have V2 Big Mom, who is also the purple and int one. Now, these 3 units are basically very good on a game mode called Kizuna Battle or Kizuna Kessen, which is a monthly rotational battle where you get a lot of goodies, a lot of rewards from farming it up. And as you level up during the Kizuna Battle, you have 3 different bosses or 3 different conditions that you have to fight. It's the same character every single time basically, and they have 3 different conditions every single time. And each team you can use will, you want to have a lot of damage. In this case, damage does make a difference. I normally always say damage is like the least relevant thing, but in this case, damage is very important. And as you farm more and more, especially if you reroll, you're going to be catching up a lot. So you want to get to the highest level possible. You're going to need more and more damage, because the higher you level up, the boss's HP is going to increase, and you're going to need more damage. These 3 units at the end will basically give many of your teams the bonus oomph and the bonus damage that you need. But early game to mid game, not that essential. And some of them are a little bit difficult to use or difficult to understand, so not necessarily that great. Especially as captains, they don't really serve any purpose. They're only good as subs on your team. Now the final row. The final row are like the bonus. These units you'll probably see more often than legends when you're re-rolling because they are rare recruits. They are way easier to obtain than the legends. But all of these rare recruits, other than the very mermaid pink hair one at the end, Shura Hoshi, the yellow Sai one, they are all rare recruits. They're not legends, they're not sugo-fest exclusives, unlike the Shura Hoshi at the very end. But these first 5 are all really good subs. I'm not going to get into what they necessarily do. You can look up all the information for all of these units as long as you know the character's name on the OPTC database, which will be the very first link in the description down below. So please do use that because you can find all the units on there. One Piece Treasure Cruise database. It literally has everything you need to know about any unit, their base stats, their information, even the names of their special attacks and the captain abilities, which I don't know any of them. But yes, if you want to find information on that, please do check out the OPTC database. But the final row here are rare recruits, and if you get any of these, you can kind of treat them as a very big bonus in your reroll because they cover so much content, so many debuffs or buffs applied to your team, and you really do want to have these units early on as well. Kind of like the Rayleigh and Corazon. The longer you go without these units, the more you're going to struggle with certain pieces of content. And then the very last unit at the very end there, Shura Hoshi, the mermaid with pink hair. She is good for very early game players as a captain, as a sub, and does a lot of healing, which a lot of people like to see. And she will change your orbs into something called a rainbow orb, which is like one of the most powerful orbs in the game because it cannot be shuffled away and it counts as a matching orb. So a fantastic unit to have as well. So that there, ladies and gentlemen, is the S tier for rerolled units, and I'm only going to do the S tier because no one should be settling for anything less. Honestly speaking, when you're rerolling, you should be going for the top tier units only, and there are many other good legends in the game that once you develop a greater understanding of the game, how to play with certain captains, how team synergies work, that maybe you might even want to reroll again and go after that legend and play with them. But if you just want to get into OPTC, One Piece Treasure Cruise, and learn your way through the game, these are definitely the best units to use. And again, TLDR, you want at least one legend. This is the must-have requirement. If you want to last a long time on OPTC, one of these legends from the first row in your reroll, and then the second row, you want to have at least 3 legends from there as well. That might honestly be really difficult to do. So let's say 2 legends from the second row minimum. 1 from the first row, 2 from the second row, and then everything else below that is essentially like a bonus quality of life. But yes, if you are going to reroll for at least 3 legends, try and make sure they're from the first and second rows. And yes, that's it from me, guys. If you have any questions, please do leave them in the comment section down below. Also, shout out to the people in the comment section that do help out other players as well. I see you guys. I appreciate you guys as well. Thank you so much, guys. And once again, have a wonderful day. Good luck with your rerolls and have a wonderful day. I did my outro like 3 times now. Bye-bye.